Yes, welcome back to the Rogue's Passage. I'm Tanner Cherry.
And I'm Brady Magpie.
And today we're going to do some deck tech stuff.
Yeah, we have some cards to discuss.
Yeah, cards to discuss and concepts to discuss, because I guess it very much is, if you look at the 100 cards of this list, it is your standard commander deck, but Brady's got a fresh kind of take on, I guess, the group militia of Orzhov commanders at the helm.
I might just be neurospicy. Who knows? I like to think I'm unique, and out of the millions of players worldwide, I'm definitely the best. So we'll see how I stack. Anyways, so I've been fucking around with Elder Dragon Highlander. Originally, it was Commander was built around Elder Dragons, and I've decided
in the beginning
times, and I've decided to honor that by also honoring each of the modes that my commander does. And I'm playing today with Shadrix Silverquill, one of my absolute favorite commanders in the game.
Good card.
Oh, absolutely insane. So, read this out for you. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may choose 2. Each mode must target a different player. Target player creates a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying. Target player draws a card and loses 1 life. Or target player puts a 1/1 counter on each creature they control. And that's target player. So you can be very political, or you could just be selfish.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, like, when I was excited when I built Kenrith, because all of Kenrith's abilities said target player.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh, I'm going to be like the king and group huggy, and I just always use it on myself.
Now, you're probably wondering, why is this deck so unique, Brady? Well, out of the sheer genius going into it, in all honesty. No, Shadrix does 3 things, and the best balance I'm able to find in any of my 56 brews is honoring each mode that my commander do. And subsequently, the way that I was able to sell this to Tanner was I have essentially 11 commanders, variable, however you want to look at it, in this deck that I can alternate, changing power to suit my needs. Let's say I want to play my very strong deck, but I want to play casually, so I'll play with Thalis, Reverent Medium. Or let's say I really want to go swinging hard into combat, and I'll use Elder Arthur Maxon, where creature tokens have training and they want to attack.
Yeah, and like you said, you can take the other 10 commanders, the other 10 optional commanders, roll a d10, and like if you want to just be like, all right, let's see what happens. Roll a d10 and put one of these other guys. Yeah.
So for sure, Shadrix is going to be the chief bitch out of all of the commanders that I could possibly use. Absolutely. Bitch. But right now, the one I have piloting the deck is Teysa Karlov. And Teysa, there are so many triggers in this deck that require death, and this is also the win condition of the brew, using Zulaport triggers and amassing tokens to basically become so threatening that unless you're playing a Cycrift or an Exile, a mass exile, I will destroy you when you try to destroy me. So it's a lot of fun. It's an aristocratic bomb deck, basically. And to honor each of the modes, we have essentially 3 commanders per mode. I have Elder Arthur Maxon, I have Colonel Autumn, we have Brina the Demagogue, Ellis Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim, Campbell, Profiteering Mare. We have Alenda, the Dusk Rose. I already mentioned Thalis. We also have this flip side commander, Shale, Dean of Resilience, or we have Embrose, Dean of Shadow. Also, to compound the card draw, we have Erebos, who's not Orzhov, but Erebos and Benny Brax is a nice little honorable mention. One of the removal commanders to the deck is Teysa Orzhov's Scion. And to also complement what Teysa does, which is, includes sacrificing, we have Razaket, the Foul-Blooded, and Ailey, Eternal Pilgrim for card draw, removal, and basically just winning the game.
Now, if this was like a military position, like you'd have like sergeants, you'd have
absolutely. This is very much
class. You'd have
well, all of my token decks essentially. If you're creating tokens, I played a lot of Dynasty Warriors growing up. So if you're making tokens, you gotta consider them your soldiers, your fleet, and every commander should hopefully be able to own their force. What's the word there? Their regiment.
Yeah, I mean, like it's interesting, right? Like obviously, the deck, like these cards are in the deck because they work well with Shadrix. Mm-hmm. But Orzhov and I guess the archetype of aristocratic stuff like this, they sort of all kind of do the same thing, ish, right? Like they work in the same wheelhouse, so it's kind of cool. You can just like rotate whoever you want in and out of the command zone.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I got inspired by this is I have a lot of decks. I'm constantly building and tearing apart, and the process is honestly very, very tiring. I am also a sentimentalist and a romantic. So I really love, Shadrix has been, for the last, I think, 3 years now, one of my absolute tops. Might be 2022. I take that back. No, so only about 2 years now. And because, Shadrix Strixhaven?
Well, you know, it
Was
says
20
2021 right on the
2021.
card.
I'm wrong. So 3 years. Last 3 years. And because of that, I don't ever want to take apart Shadrix, but I've also taken it apart, edited it enough, where frankly, it was exhausting, you know, especially when you're dealing with expensive cards, it gets very, very exhausting. So I wanted to honor the commander and also make the deck unique with every different approach that the commander that you choose will give you, you know, and you don't need 12 different Orzhov decks that basically do the same thing because you want a little bit of versatility. You can instead decide to choose your commander and just roll the punches, you know?
Yeah. I had Taste of Karlov built for quite a while. It's currently disassembled in a big pile right now. But I don't know. I just felt like I never built it efficiently enough. I never built it so that it worked well. So
I would say top 10 Orzhov commanders ever printed.
It is a great card. My deck sucked. And I shouldn't use my own bias. Like, I should just tackle that build again. Mm-hmm. And maybe I should take a couple notes out of this one.
Yeah, like Taste of Karlov is an example. If you look at Illusel Core, whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 2 life with Taste as the commander. And I've compounded the Zulaport trigger, I think, with using Mirkwood Bats and every other, you know, there's Nadier's Nightblade. If a token is dying and or being generated, it's hopefully doing a lot of damage. And yeah, I'm also compounding the counters, which is really, really fun. There's nothing like having 20 tokens that are suddenly like 4/4s. It's beautiful, and they fly if they're Inklings or they're Angels.
Shout out to Divine Visitation.
Yeah.
Love that card.
Yeah, Luminarch Ascension in this deck. You can't go wrong with that. Cards I would not recommend, but are also in my brew. You'll see. I'll also have this posted in the link.
Oh yes, down in the description. Yep. The deck list will be down there.
Yeah, my Moxfield is all up to date and up to snuff, and I will even keep this one in place on our official Rogues Passage Moxfield, not my personal account, but the actual Rogues Passage Moxfield, which you'll be able to locate it on. Cathor's Crusade. If you want to play crazy, play it. I have it in my brew. It gets switched out. It's actually the one that I switch out quite a lot. If I want to go to Shadrix, I will immediately cut out Cathor's Crusade for Teysa or whatever, so I can do the original and actually just wreck house, because Cathor's Crusade is too much.
That card's annoying, man. You need to be a friggin' statistician to be able to figure out how many counters your creatures have. I mean, there is like a simple rubric of doing it, but it's annoying. I don't play it in my Reese the Redeemed deck because it's just complicated to keep track of.
Honorable mentions in my brew. You can't go wrong. I love this stack. Oh my god, so beautiful. So we have Brimaz, King of Reskos, defensively and offensively.
Is that the one that you have?
Yeah, that's the secret lair version.
My god, that's a beautiful Brimaz.
Super. No. Peter Diamond. Oh
yeah.
He did Queen Marchesa and a whole bunch of other ones. Yeah. Snap.
Beautiful art.
Yeah, no, we have for Orzhov, there's plenty of counter spells and means you can do now with white. You know, usually they splash with other colors, but we're starting to see a lot more mana tides and all sorts of really cool things to really help change the game. We have the cheapest Imps Mischiefs ever on the market you'll find, thanks to Thunder Junction. We're spending close to $60 on 2 of them, and now they're $1. Oh yeah, back in the day, yeah, Imps Mischief used to be $30, Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars.
Yeah, Canadian dollars. So I did mention earlier we have a Yara, First of Loch Lane. I have to reinforce just how efficient this is. When you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going down to the enchantments. 8 and 9. Yeah, 9.
We have 9.
We have 9 Zulaport triggers that we can eventually slowly get to. Yeah.
Ooh.
And that, if you're using Taste of Karlov, that's a lot of damage. And plenty of fetch capabilities. We have, outside of Razaketh being one of the strongest cards in the deck, we have a Vamp Tutor, we have a Demonic Tutor.
A lot of Strixhaven Mystical Archives going on.
I did make a point of making this as Strixhaven prevalent. You know, Swords to Plowshares, Mana Tithe, Dark Ritual, Teferi's Protection. We have it in there, folks.
I guess because it is one of the Strixhaven Dragon Gods, or Elder Dragon.
Yeah. Shout out to Kekai Kotaki. Oh my god, I kind of need this on my wall immediately. I was looking at it on the computer upstairs while I was doing editing. I was like,
I wonder if they make one like that.
I want an extra large one. Yeah, that'd be great. Of course, we can't go wrong with them as many. We have like Secure the Wastes, Call of the Coppercoats. Actually, super strong shout out to this card, especially if I have even just 2. If I'm going against other token decks, this is where the real power comes from. with this spell. If I have even 2 Zulaport triggers, or even just 1, or I'm just using Teysa and I just have the 1, doesn't matter. Call of the Copper Codes is one of my favorite spells for creating tokens as well as being defensive against other token decks. So choose, it has Strive, 3 mana, mono white. Strive cost is 2. Choose any number of target opponents, create X white human soldier tokens, where X is the number of creatures those opponents control. Now, one of my Hail Marys that I've ever had, I was going against a Gimbal, and it just came out, Kazia, the Broken Blade.
Kozla?
Kozla.
Yeah.
And both of them, between the 2 decks, I already had 7 creatures on board. Didn't have as many as the tokens that I wanted to, but there was like 30 creatures between the 2 players. And I literally bombed the table. They're like, okay, field wipe. Brady's getting spooky. And what the heck's going on over there? I'm like, oh, and you die.
Instant speed
death.
death.
Instant speed death. I've never in my life up until that point. And that what really is actually what inspired the deck construction of my brew to be aristocratic boom,
Jeez, Chroma's
blow up the royalty!
The Chroma's Will, Ink Shield, kind of mid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, those are weak cards. Those are super weak cards. Ink Shield, actually, I won a game not too long ago when I was just like,
Ink Shield's nuts.
Oh, yeah. It's too good. It's too good.
It's like the biggest, I love the template of Ink Shield. The fact that it's like somebody swings out to kill you. You prevent all of that damage, make enough creatures to kill them on the crackback.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Not too long ago, we went against an Azorius deck, and they decided I had a whole bunch of creatures on the battlefield. Shout out to Reckoner's Bargain. And I didn't have a lot going on. I had a bunch of tokens, but that was it. I had no Shadrix. Shadrix was well away from ever being summoned. I think it was like the 3rd time it had to be cast. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this anytime soon. And but I did have a lot. I had a really good moment with Secure the Wastes and Anointed Procession. And Buddy was like, nope.
Card.
Yeah, bad card, right? So Buddy was like, well, this can't do. So he did a Psych Rift. Or no, not Psych Rift. It was it was a Psych Rift. And I was like, no, I cast Reckoner's Bargain, and I had 1 mana open with my Mana Tithe. And he was like, no, and he countered that spell, and he didn't have any more. He saved his Swan Song, the 1 open blue for a Swan Song, and I Mana Tithed it, and I was like, nah, and I drew 20 cards. It was so good. So we're going to start to talk about some of the enchantments now for the brew. Starting with Luminarch Ascension, one of the strongest enchantments you can play early game, 100%. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if you didn't lose life, you're going to put a quest counter on this enchantment. And then for 2 mana, you're going to create 4/4 angels. And
so in my experience, I love this card, and I remember putting it in decks. I feel like it gets me attacked.
Oh, 100%.
It definitely whittles away my life total, and I sometimes go multiple turn cycles just getting beat on, and I never get to the thing. But I've seen everybody else get the value out of it, so I'm like, man, it must be good.
Momentum, time and place, right? For removal, we have Attrition, which also gives us aristocratic triggers. But for 1 black, you get to sacrifice a creature to destroy a target non-black creature.
Yeah, it's a pretty good card.
Pretty good. Ghostly Prisons for your protection. Players can't attack you unless they pay 2 for each attacking creature, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Anointed Procession, that obviously doubles our tokens. Felidar Retreat, actually arguably one of the strongest enchantments in the deck. Creates 2/2 white cat beasts. And also puts 1/1 counters on each creature I control. And they also have Vigilance until end of turn.
Landfall trigger.
Yeah, it's the Vigilance. Vigilance in token decks, I think will on average win you the game. For the most part, people will always want to do like an Art of War approach and be able to consolidate their forces. But unless you're swinging all out and you have nothing else to block with, you're usually pooched. We did mention Cathar's Crusade.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the deck.
Yeah, it's in the deck.
It is a good card. It will win you games. It's annoying.
But that's just for the viewers out there. Well, how bad is it? Well, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Now, let's say, as an example, with the Counters Matter deck, with also Tokens Matter, we have a bunch of 10/10s, 9/9, 5/5s. Let's say they all have varying base stats, right? Whatever, it doesn't matter. And suddenly you drop 20 tokens. Now, you're going to have to really... That is so much work. You've just immediately solitaired the game for everyone while respectfully just going 1 dice, 2 dice, right? So it's a headache.
Yeah, and
I
also
do cut it quite a
going
lot for
from
the actual commander.
In my Risk the Redeem deck, I can have 40 of this token. They're all the same, right? Mm-hmm. But with Cathar's Crusade, I have 40 unique tokens with different amounts of counters on them, which is very difficult to track. But it is still a good card.
Beyond your basic bitch mana rocks, we have 2 special artifacts that have a very special place in this deck. We have Bontu's Monument and we have Oketra's Monument. Both of them reduce casting costs for black and white creatures, respectively. And for Bonsu's Monument, this is the one that really likes to honor Yara. So whenever you cast a creature spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. It's not entering, but it still hits that cast trigger, especially when people want to counter your stuff and you have even 1 trigger and it might potentially do a lot of damage. I love that. Cast triggers are amazing. And then for the second cast trigger, whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. Yeah. And again, that vigilance on tokens is too good.
In a deck that wants to sacrifice creatures and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. These monuments, shout out again to Amonkhet Block. It was what got me into Magic. And I love it so much. I want to buy a couple boxes and do a couple drafts because that was my favorite time.
Can we find a collector's draft box?
There was no such thing as collectors.
I guess so.
There was just regular old booster boxes. No play boosters. No set boosters. No nothing. It was just booster packs.
I should have known that. We got that on camera. Whatever. No one's perfect. All
right, next category.
Well, let's. We talked about some of our removal spells and such. We have a lot of aristocratic triggers, so Village Rites for sacrificing a creature to draw cards. Spells like Reckoner's Bargain to sacrifice artifact or creature, and you gain life equal to its mana value, and then you can draw 2 cards. I really love that one especially. I've seen people abuse that with Blightsteel Colossus in a little fun way. Oof. Yeah, especially when they want to shuffle their deck again if they have like next to nothing and they have that sacrifice spell in their deck. It's in their hand. Pretty cool.
If you have a Blightsteel out, why are you sacrificing it to draw cards?
Because they can't do shit. Yeah, but where you'd add an Eldrazi that shuffles your library for the same reason.
Okay, yeah.
Well, folks, this is my genius at work. Obviously indisputable. But that said, if you have any recommendations at all, I'm obviously not perfect. I would take all advice. Link below. You'll see the brew. Tanner, what do you think?
I'll tell you what I think is I actually kind of want to play it. I want to pilot it. I said, I had my Teysa Karlov build and I kind of bailed on it. This deck looks better. This deck is better than what I had built. And I would love to know what it's like to pilot it and then tell you more.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I appreciate that. I would recommend starting with Shadrix and then working your way down.
Yeah, I've never got to play with Shadrix in the command zone. So
it's so satisfying.
Maybe, you know what? Future episode here coming up on Rogue's Passage. Let's all just musical chairs our commanders and play each other's favorite builds.
Yeah. This would be my second favorite. What's my second? Who knows?
Yeah, cool. So if you want to critique the deck, it's down in the comments.
Please.
If you want to suggest any more deck tech stuff in the future, let us know if you have a build something like this where you rotate who knows how many different commanders in the color identities through the command zone.
Obviously talking a lot of shit. Please, no, if you've already been doing this, I don't care. I want to know your input. I will grow as a deck builder because of this. So please.
Yeah. Comments and complaints are down in the comments section.
But also hit that like and subscribe, please.
Yeah. Thank you for coming around. We always enjoy the viewership. And I guess we'll see you on the next Deck Tech here on the Rogue's Passage. I have been Tanner Cherry.
And I am Brady Magpie.
Oh, yes. And check out on our link tree down below. We now have a merch site. So if you want to buy our merch, check that out. Check out our podcast that we do as well, Rogue's Passage Podcast, and all of our gameplay videos, whether it's Oathbreaker, Commander, Pauper, PDH, all sorts of shit.
Tiny Leaders. I don't have a Tiny Leaders deck. Penny Dreadful. Fuck it.
I mean, nothing published, but
Dual Commander.
All right. See you guys later.